Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today I thought I would talk about some ways that you can improve flying low to the ground. In other words, ways that you can improve throttle control. So there's a few different things that I've been working on over the last few days myself to think of a way to improve my throttle control. And while doing that, it dawned on me that I should probably share those with you guys so that you can improve your throttle control much like I'm working on. So it's just some basic, simple things to practice. A lot like probably racers would tell you. We'll find out. I don't know. I'm not a racer, so if there's racers and I say something that strikes a chord with you, let me know. If you've got better ways to help me improve throttle control and staying low to the ground, you know, by all means share those. I've been flying for a long time, but I'm always able to learn something new. Yeah, the basics I think are key to improving your flying. I know that some people think you just need to go for it, and sometimes you do, and sometimes you don't need to be worried about crashing and that kind of thing, and I agree, you don't really need to be worried about crashing, but in the same way, you don't necessarily need to be crashing to be improving. And if you get the basics down, then you're going to crash a lot less when you go and try the things that are much more difficult. So with that said, let me finish getting ready here, and we'll fly a bit, and you can watch my head bob and weave, and hopefully I'll stay on camera, and we'll talk about a couple of different things that I've been playing with that have I've been seeing some improvement just in the last few days messing with this, so it's pretty cool. Anyways, let me finish getting ready and we'll get to flying. A couple exercises. The first one is basic orbits. Orbits. So I've got a little tree over here. I like to do these on. That is pretty good. So the idea here with your orbits, and I'm terrible right now, is to get your orbits locked in and maintain like a really low altitude when you're doing that, right? And then I got you here, I'm gonna try the opposite way. And you wanna make sure you do things in both directions when you're doing these things. So the idea is to get these things down as low as you can. I'm not doing very good right there. But the idea is to get them down as low as you can and maintain them and work on being able to make those minor adjustments that you need to do that. So you work on your orbits, right? Get these things dialed in. Then the next thing, ideally you want to have some sort of structure like this, if you can. If you've got somewhere that you can find a structure like this thing is like incredible for doing this next exercise. You don't have to have this to do this, but it works really, really well for this. So the next thing you want to do is with a structure like this, or you can set up some poles and maybe a couple of race gates. You can get those on Amazon. You can pick up some like old soccer goals, cut the nets out of them, set those up, and a couple poles. The idea is you want to work on doing these figure eights here through some sort of structure like this, and you want to work on maintaining your altitude. So while maintaining your altitude and doing these turns, you want to maintain forward flight. Like, and I'll show you what I mean. So like if you come through here and you turn, set it and maintain forward. I kind of let it blow out. You don't want to blow out like that. You want to keep going forward. So you're going to be adjusting your pitch. You're going to be adjusting, you know, your yaw and your throttle all at the same time doing this exercise. You're going to work on, the idea is to keep your altitude steady, and you want, so you can either use the ground, like if you didn't have these picnic tables in here, or you just had race gates, you would have ground, right? You're doing down as low as you can to the ground. And you want to do that. So then the next thing you want to do is you want to work on tightening those things up. And you can do that by working on an orbit around one of these things, going inside and orbiting, and then you come through, and I want to like tighten this up here. I want to tighten around this guy, and then I want to come back around. I want to do it on the opposite direction. Now I want to work on this direction. This is the direction I have the most trouble with, it seems. And I blew that out of the water. And probably came off the camera. So that's the next thing that you want to do. You want to work on this kind of stuff. Going through these things, in and out, weaving both directions. And you don't want to just fly through them. You want to have a set path. And we're going to talk about that in a second. Let me get this battery swapped out, and we'll talk about that here in just a second. So, hope I'm staying on camera. I'm really bad about bobbing and weaving and stuff. I'm just terrible. Laugh at me all you want. That's just who I am. That's how I fly. I don't know. I've always done it that way. And I can't stop myself. Let me get this drone here, and then we're going to talk about doing the same thing that I was talking about, but you want to be very specific in your motion, not just going through it. You want to know in your mind, I want to do this, and then I want to do this. Because it's real easy to think you're improving if you're just flying through it. It's a whole other matter to do it, and you have a set path that you want to fly, and you want to maintain that control while you're doing it. So we're going to do that next, and then I've got one other adjustment to this that we'll talk about after that. We may get to that during the set path too. So anyways, let me go grab the drone, swap the batteries, and we'll get to doing that. Flying a path with a defined path that you want to do. And it don't have to be a set one, you just have to know what you want to do each time. So I'm going to go through this first one here, I'm going to turn, and I'm going to go around, and I'm going to turn, I'm going to go to this first one here. And then I want to turn real tight and go through the second one. Then I want to turn real tight and go back, straight through all the way. Then I want to turn right, and I want to go through, I'm going to adjust it here, and then do the same thing, just the opposite way that I was doing it. And then we're going to go back through the opposite direction here. Now real tight left. And then we're going to go, let's see. I want to come out from the opposite direction. So let me go down this tree, loop around this tree. Okay, so I want to go through this way. I'm going to turn tight, the first one, the second one, then all the way back around, back through. And then the opposite direction, back through both of them. See how this is much more difficult to do than just flying and taking off wherever the drone kind of takes you, right? Like if I'm just doing where the drone takes me, you feel like you're making progress. But if you have a defined path, but you want to go down on a crisscross. Now I want to crisscross the opposite way. Now I want to crisscross again. Now I want to crisscross again. Now I want to crisscross again. So when you have a defined path that you're going, it makes it much more difficult to do, but it keeps you accountable on if you're improving or not improving, right? So now I want to go through real tight here if I can. That wasn't tight enough. Let me do it again. There we go. That's better. That's a little high though. Gotta get down lower. Just tight again. Down lower. Hard with the picking table, but that makes a nice obstacle. So the goal is not only to learn how to fly through these things kind of randomly, haphazardly. That's always good practice too. But you want to have a set path. And I want to go back through the middle here. That one. Now the first one. Now the second one. Now the opposite way. Let me get around here. I want to get a better way of doing this. So I want to go this way, and then this way, and then back through the first one here like this, and then the opposite way to the first one, and then the second one, round it. I want to do the first one over here, and then I want to do the first one on the opposite side. I want to do the second one on the opposite side, second one on the opposite side. Now I want, I'm doing these orbits here, I want to do these orbits on both sides. Now it's just see here. bit harder. Oh, that's terrible. I'm turning and weaving. I know I am. I'm really bad about that. When I do turns, man, I get to really moving my body. Sorry about that. So yeah, the goal is to define a path and go through that kind of path. All right, that's another thing to practice. All right, my battery's about dead. One other thing I want to make an adjustment on this. One other thing to improve on. We're going to combine the orbit, that path, and one other thing, elevation change with it. Again, this is why some structure like this is really great. You can do it with race gates and stuff, but you'd have to have the right race gates in order to do that. And you can practice a lot of these things without these things, but this one you really need to have a structure, something like this, or something that's got something you can go over. I guess you could do it with race gates. So you're going through the race gates down low, and then you're doing the race gates over top of them. Anyways, we'll talk about the elevation thing here that I'm talking about next. And so with working on orbits, working on flying through stuff in these figure 8 patterns, then working on coming up with a path, defining it in your head, and then executing it, and then doing it in different directions, different variations on that, do it over and over and over. You're going to dial in this throttle control. It's going to force you to learn how to throttle control. And then you also want to make sure you're always maintaining forward movement. You don't want to stall out when you're turning, so you're going to have to be adjusting your pitch and stuff to keep yourself moving forward. If you stall out, it doesn't look good, number one, when you're flying, but number two, it really makes it difficult to maintain your throttle control. So you really want to work on keeping that forward momentum. So let me get this thing ready, and we'll do the final step here. Actually, there's more than 3. There's 4 things I want to talk about. We'll get to the 4th one after we do the 3rd one. It just popped in my head. One of the things that I wanted to bring out before we wrap all this up. So we'll finish getting this ready, and we'll do the elevation change thing I was talking about, and then we've got a 4th step that kind of brings all this stuff together for you to work on. So just like we were doing before, where we were doing that figure 8, now we're going to do that figure 8, but this time we want to make elevation changes here. So we're going to go through this thing like this, right? And then as I come through this time, I'm going to turn, I'm going to go above it, and then back below it, back down, and this is where you start crashing. All right, let's do that again. So I want to go through it here like this. All right, I'm getting hot and sweaty. It's hot out here. It's early morning. So you're going through it. Now you want to go over it, and then back down, back through it. All right. Don't blow it out like I just did there, right? You want to go over it, back down. Let's see if we can improve this here. All right. So let me get my figure 8 kind of going here. Okay, we're doing pretty good there. Now what I want to do is I want to go through, and then I want to come back over top of it. And then I want to come back through on this side. And then I want to go through. That was not the direction I wanted to go. You could probably tell that. So I want to go through here to the left, and oh, that was not really good. Over top of it, and then down. And then we want to go back over top of it, back down, back over top of it. Try to stay as close to it as you can to when you're doing these things. So over, through it, back over, and then we're going to kind of, that's not what I wanted to do. Okay, I'm going to try it again here. So what I want to do is I want to go through it here like this. I wanted to kind of come over top of it. Then I want to kind of come down, and I wanted to orbit around this, and then back through, and then back over top of it, and then I want to go back around this way. I want to orbit this one this way. And now I want to go through it. I want to do the opposite way. So I want to go over it. Now we're going to orbit this direction. Hang on, let me do this better. Through, back through, back over, down, and orbit around this thing and back through it, and then back over top of it again. Do that again. Okay. So you get the gist of this here, right? So you're doing elevation changes. Vary those however you want, however you see fit. But just make sure you're doing things in both directions, right? Always do stuff in both directions. And try to vary it as much as you can. All right, if I land, my battery died. Yeah, actually I got one more thing. So I was gonna wrap all of it up. I got one other thing I want to do, and that is, it just dawned on me when I came in for landing, which is working on landings, but not necessarily landings. We're gonna try to, first we'll do them on the ground here. Basically come in nice and smooth and skid it, just really low on the ground, then come back off the ground. I want to try to skid it on one of these picnic tables. Just lightly come in. You just want to keep your forward momentum going, skid it, and then you keep going without bouncing it, which is really difficult to do. If you've flown Betaflight anytime, little bumps, man, it'll send it into a tizzy. So if you can do that, keep it in air mode. Don't take it off air mode, and try to come in and just kind of skid the ground and come back off of it, or skid the picnic table and come back off of it. We'll do those, and then I want to wrap it up with my final tip. So 5 tips, you're getting bonuses today. Okay, so we're going to work on these little skid things. And the idea is to fly down low, like you're coming in for a landing almost, just barely skid the ground, and then just kind of keep going, take off, keep going. Don't take it out of air mode. Don't disarm. This one is not an easy one to do. It just popped in my head. I'm gonna try it. I haven't tried these yet, but I thought it might be a good practice thing. Right. So the idea is you kind of come down and you skid. Try to skid the ground as smooth as you can. Right. And maintain, control while you're doing that. Man, that's hard to do. That's pretty good one there. Then, you can do those just on the ground as long as you got some pavement or something. And you can do them at various speeds. You can hit the grass and nearly crash. That's always a possibility. You got to be aware of that when you're that low to the ground. Your blades are going to hit the grass. Okay, so then we want to try to do the same thing. But let's try to do this on something a little shorter, so a lot less room to do it on here. It's harder. I just tapped it there. It wasn't really a skid. That was a tap. I just tap again. This is a hard one to do because it's such short. You want to kind of get as smooth as you can coming in there, man. That's hard to do. And we'll go a little slower here. It's okay, but it's not great. But those are fun anyway. I missed it. So yeah, so you got the skid thing to work on. These are tricky. The goal is you're trying to practice maintaining that altitude, like as low as you can to the ground even, before you hit the ground. That's another variation on this. So instead of actually hitting the ground, just try to stay as low as you can to the ground. Do that. I thought it was a good thing to do. Right into the picnic table. All right, let me go grab this thing. Okay, so you've got those skid things to work on. I'm not really getting those picnic table ones down. Let's try it again though. Let's see if I can do that. We got the skid things to work on. So coming in and just barely touching the ground as much as you can. Like that. Then you got this staying as low as you can without touching the ground. That is tricky to do. You can use your shadow as a reference if you've got the sun in the right place like I do right now. We're barely over the grass there. That takes a little practice there. But going forward is not too bad. Now take this and try turning without raising your altitude in it. There you go, like that, right there. See that? I mean, like we're just like cruising this barely an inch off the grass there. Oh. Right into the grass. Yeah. So that's another thing that you can vary it, all right? And then you've got the variation of coming in. Let me see if I'm trying to do it the right way. And kind of come at these picnic tables here, right? You barely hit them. And then try to do it a little quicker maybe, which is a lot harder. Ah, I missed it. Because you're inevitably going to hit the front of that thing. This is where the not being scared kind of comes in, but you don't have to really do picnic tables. You can just do the ground. Ah, I missed it. That was just about there. I want to get it where I just like come at it and like just barely touch it. It's practice on getting your height just right. That's the hard hit there. That was not good. I was too high when I came in. Try one more. One more battery's gone. Right there. Ah, I was just barely above it. Come at that front, man. I gotta try that. Come at that front there. It really makes you worried about hitting it. Okay, I'll better land. All right, we're gonna wrap all this up with one final thing to do. And what is that final step? Have fun. Take all of this stuff that you've been practicing and put it to work in some fun flying. Just go out, have fun, and start to see the improvement that you make in your flying by working on throttle control. On these little basic things, you can just go have some fun. Just start drifting. You notice that before I wasn't doing any sort of flips or rolls or any of that kind of stuff. I was just, keeping it level, right? So the goal now is just go out, have fun, do whatever flying you want to do. And you're going to see improvement in your flying. Maybe not my flying today, but you're going to see improvement in your flying as you do this stuff over and over and over, practicing that throttle control. You're going to find that you're able to do stuff that you didn't think you could do, like crashing new waves. Oops. Come on, flip over. There we go. So then, after all this practice, just go out and have some fun. Fly some packs just for fun and see how much your flying improves when you start to do this stuff. When you start to practice your throttle control and stuff, you're going to see changes in how you're flying. You're going to notice that you're not popping up or ballooning or that kind of stuff. You're going to hit gaps that you really weren't thinking about hitting before in ways that you never thought about hitting them before. And you're just going to fly more confidently because you know that you've got control of your craft. You know how to adjust for the altitude changes. You know how to dial in those tight turns to where you can, just hit gaps on a whim, and not have any fear of doing that, right? Because you've got that control down, right? You can do those things and hit those gaps like you want. Even with crappy props. No matter which direction you want to go. You're going to know that you've got the confidence to do, kind of whatever you want to do. In ways that, you never tried before. And yeah, you'll mess up from time to time. But you will get better over time. All right, let me land this thing. Close it out. So, don't let someone tell you that you need to do X, Y, or Z to be the best pilot in the world. If you're not doing MIPI flips, if you're not doing trippy spins, if you're not pushing it and crashing and pushing it and crashing, then you're not going to improve. That's a bunch of malarkey. Now, granted, you need to be not afraid to crash. You're going to crash, but you don't need to be worrying about that at the beginning. You don't need to worry about even if you've been flying for a long time. Get the basics down. Work on, simple stuff like throttle control. Working on throttle control will translate to every aspect of your flying. I have seen countless really good pilots flying, even recently, who exhibit signs of not having good throttle control. I am no expert. I am no throttle control master. I'm not saying it as someone who is better than them. Far from it, because I am not, right? These guys do things that I just can't do. I can't wrap my head around maintaining my spatial awareness and my orientation and all that kind of stuff when I'm upside down, flipping, circling, and all that kind of stuff all the time. I can do some stuff, but some of that stuff, it's a mind warp for me, and I can't really do it. And you know, I'm okay with that. That's fine. You know, I can work on those things and try to improve those things. That's great. But just to have fun and be able to fly confidently, you really need to work on throttle control. It's key. And these, you know, 4 basic things, and then of course having fun at the end, those things will really help you. And if you practice those things, you know, regularly, you will see a huge improvement to your flying. You will see a huge improvement to your freestyle. You'll see a huge improvement to just your the amount of times that you crash. You will be crashing less and less because you're much more confident on the sticks. You are much more in control on the sticks. There's a confidence and then there's a control, and you need to have both of those things in order to succeed. So work on the control, and then you will gradually, your confidence might be here, but as you work on that control, your confidence is going to rise, and it's going to match up to your control, and you're going to be able to succeed and do things. So with that, guys, go out there, have fun. Don't let anybody talk down to you. You know, don't worry about haters, that kind of stuff. I get plenty of flack all the time for everything under the sun. And just have fun. Go enjoy yourself and have a lot of fun. And don't be afraid to really work on this stuff. And then don't be afraid to kind of push yourself. You know, you got to push yourself a little bit. I'm not saying that you don't. And to my buddy Austin, who told me, you know, in his 4 words on my video was, stop being so scared. I get that. I get the sentiment there, and you definitely got to have that confidence to try stuff. But I think before you work on that confidence to try stuff, work on your control. And once you got the control down, your confidence will build. Especially as you get that control, your confidence will build, and then you will just be like ripping like crazy. So you guys have a great day. Never stop flying, guys. See ya.